This episode is sponsored in part by our friends at Fortinet. Fortinet's partnership with AWS is a better together combination that ensures your workloads on AWS are protected by best-in-class security solutions powered by comprehensive threat intelligence and more than 20 years of cybersecurity experience. Integrations with key AWS services simplify security management, ensure full visibility across environments, and provide broad protection across your workloads and applications. My thanks again to my friends at Fortinet. Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS. Let's dive into it and see what's exploded. Amazon DocumentDB with MongoDB compatibility now supports fast database cloning. Isn't DocumentDB, Amazon Basics MongoDB, already the clone or crappy knockoff of a fast database? Amazon EC2 Console adds verified provider label for public AMIs. Much like Twitter, you can get a blue check mark if your product has been rigorously vetted, or if you hung out with Adam Selipsky at a party in 2012. Amazon Neptune now supports fine-grained access control with IAM. What the blue hell was it doing before? Amazon SageMaker Canvas announces encryption support with customer-managed keys. Huzzah! Another way to make SageMaker Canvas sneakily more expensive to screw customers over. AWS announces AWS Wicker Preview. AWS decides to compete with Google in launching and then abandoning messaging products. AWS Control Tower now reduces AWS config configuration items by only recording global resources in home regions. And this is handy. I just hate that you've got to apply this one OU at a time, and you can't schedule it. It basically turns an afternoon into click button, come back in an hour and click another button, and so on. AWS Lambda announces support for a new IAM condition key, Lambda Source Function ARN. You can now scope IAM restrictions down to specific Lambda functions. Please do so. AWS Single Sign-On, AWS SSO, is now AWS IAM Identity Center. A service rename is definitely one of those things that's worth keeping an eye on. Announcing AWS Transfer Family support for Applicability Statement 2, AS2. This is price gouging and then some. Youch! If you're a big company forced to use this protocol, AWS is going to charge you a penny per message. It's just monstrously bad. Now, programmatically manage primary contact information on AWS accounts. And this is legitimately useful, but most people will miss the release entirely. Introducing specialization categories for the AWS Level 1 MSSP competency. Some of those categories are presumably taking it on the chin when AWS competes with you, stoically saying nothing when AWS introduces another partner into the mix that eats your lunch, and so on. 10 years of success, AWS and F5. Looking at the relative stock performance of those two companies over the past 10 years, I think it's pretty clear that success has not accrued equally to both parties. Amazon Prime Day 2022, AWS for the win. Amazon congratulates AWS in a self-referential customer backpatting story. Developers want to code fast, security wants to ship securely. And it all, of course, needs to be at scale and in the cloud. Well, that's where Snyk comes in. Backed by industry-leading intelligence, Snyk is a security platform that meets engineers where they are, finding and automatically fixing vulnerabilities in code, open-source dependencies, containers, and cloud infrastructure. By the way, I love the fact that we are not calling cloud infrastructure and containers the same thing. Snyk also integrates seamlessly into all the tools and workflows that teams already use, so they never have to slow down, including AWS offerings like Code Pipeline, EKS, ECR, and many more that people actually use intelligently. Start your free account at snyk.co/morningbrief. That's SNYK.co/morningbrief. Develop fast. Stay secure. Snyk. New for AWS Global Accelerator. IPv6 support. Progress, as well as the globe, is apparently accelerating in AWS's bid to kill all of us by flinging us off the planet and into space. Introducing Amazon Neptune Global Database. Is the globe in question Earth or Neptune? Introducing Community Health on AWS. Yes, because if there's one thing that knows what it takes to foster healthy communities, it's Amazon. Don't believe me? Go check out the moribund AWS repost forums. Predict shipment ETA with no-code machine learning using Amazon SageMaker Canvas. Based upon my own experience with SageMaker Canvas, odds are you'll be bankrupt by the time your shipment arrives if you implement this solution. Tiny cars and big talent show Canadian policymakers the power of machine learning. I look forward to attending the big talent show, ambiguous AWS headline writer. And finally, Andy Jassy and RJ Scaringe discuss Rivian electric vehicles, and I am absolutely gutted by this. I've been trying and failing for 5 years to get to beep the horn on an AWS snowmobile, and now Andy Jassy is taunting me with pictures taken inside of a different Amazon-labeled vehicle. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn. I'll talk to you more later this week.
This has been a Humble Pod production. Stay humble.